Hey guys, don't forget the 2023 Street Cop Training Conference, Nashville, Tennessee, April 23rd through the 28th. You do not want to miss this. So far, guest speakers, Rob O'Neill, the Navy SEAL that was responsible for killing Osama bin Laden, Kyle Carpenter, U.S. Marine, Medal of Honor recipient, jumping on an IED to protect his platoon. Fox News host Tommy Lahren returns for 2023. Sheriff Wayne Ivey, Sheriff Mark Lamb, Sheriff David Clark, and more to come. You don't want to miss this event. We additionally have 20 of the country's top law enforcement educators giving you the best experience of your life. You will leave this event knowing more about your job and how to be proficient at the things you do, hands down, than any other event that you'll ever attend. I personally guarantee it. Don't miss out. There's a room code at streetcop.com for our room block, and room code at the Gaylord at Opry is where the event's taking place. Don't miss out on a discounted rate. The rate is from Sunday to Thursday. Put that in and find yourselves at a half-price room. Split it with a friend, but make sure you get there. You don't want to miss this event. It is going to be that good. If you trust me and you trust Street Cop, trust that you will leave there feeling like you've had an experience of a lifetime.
111, 110.
You training to be a street cop?
Hey guys, welcome to this episode of the Street Cop Training Podcast. I'm your host, founder, and CEO of Street Cop Training. My name is Dennis Benino. I wonder if I get that so good every single time that people think it's a recording, but it's not.
I thought it was a recording.
Did you really?
I swear to God, I thought it was a recording.
Well, the voice you hear in the background is Rich Bruno, who is our firearms instructor here, was nice enough this morning to bring us Dunkin' Donuts, and I got to tell you, it's delicious, Rich. Just like you brewed it yourself. Cheers. This is great. I guess it's a plug for Dunkin' Donuts in some sense.
I guess so.
I love Dunkin' Donuts coffee. We should probably reach out to them to be a sponsorship. Cop program, Dunkin' Donuts. This makes a lot of sense, Frank.
Sponsor the podcast. Great idea.
All right, we'll find out. Richard, Dick,
whatever you want to say.
What are we talking about today?
Not the first time I've ever heard that one.
Me neither. I've been called the same. What are we talking about today? You want to go into, first of all, the issues of concealed carry?
Yeah, so that's been since the beginning of July. So the Supreme Court ruled that the case in New York was unconstitutional and that now the states can't ask for justifiable need for citizens to constitutional carry. So obviously that hit New Jersey in a big way and blew up people's schedules and things like that. So now there's a lot of the indoor ranges, people like me who do it privately for citizens, putting out these programs to get people ready for their carry permit, right? Because it's not concealed carry, it's carry. Obviously, we push people towards the concealed portion because there are people that are going to start walking around open carrying in New Jersey, and we really don't want to go down that rabbit hole. So,
but technically, you're saying right now they can open carry.
Right now, the law reads carry. Doesn't say anything about concealed. The word concealed was removed from the law in New Jersey in like 1964. Don't quote me on that one. Like around that time, the word concealed was removed out of it. The original carry law was made in like 1924 or something like that. And then in the 60s, it was changed and the word conceal was removed. They never thought that this would ever come. So they made the laws written in the administrative code and in 2C. It's crystal clear on the process. It's actually very easy to do for retired cops. Like when I qualify you, it's the same exact thing. It's talking about private citizens. So for me, when I do it, is I provide a use of force portion, which was given to me from the state police as a qualified to do retired police officers, a safe handling portion that I sign off on saying that people are safe, and then the live fire qual. And I make them shoot the HQC-1, the 60-round course that the cops do, as well as the night fire.
Is that mandated? It's
not mandated, right? So in the law, it says substantially equivalent to the police training. It doesn't say what that is. So for me, in my mind, why not just make them do the one that we do? Because that's the only thing it talks about is the police training. So that way they can never take from me what I do for my customers. They'll never make it harder than that. If they make it easier, so be it. You pass the hard one. I've done 75 and only 3 people have failed the live shoot, which then they go out and they get some training or they come to me for some extra training and then they come back for it. Of all of it, though, I think the most important part is the actual use of force portion. You know, I spend about 2 or 3 hours in the beginning of the course talking about that because it's something that people have never really thought about in their life about carrying a gun. This is July 1st, this started. And now civilians are thinking about conceal carrying guns around the state. The state's obviously putting out some restrictions as to where you can and can't. Obviously, there's the federal law about schools and things like that, government buildings. But now civilians are actually thinking about they're actually going to carry guns. And the thing that I give to them is the decision part of it, the thinking about it, not the mindset type thing, but more of, it's the way I live my life, right? Is predetermined decisions about being a police officer and things like that. My biggest concern with concealed carry, and I want law enforcement to listen to this and understand this, my biggest concern about concealed carry is blue on blue. Is a person in ShopRite, God forbid, of an active shooter in ShopRite. Well, now you have 50 people, arguably, with concealed carry, with carry permits, legal, as well as off-duty cops in there, and you have some lunatic who goes in there and starts shooting it up. Well, now the cops come, and they see a person with a gun who might have just stopped the active shooter. That's the thing I'm worried about.
It happened recently, right? Didn't it just happen in the Northwest somewhere?
You know what? I didn't see it if it did.
It was last year. I want to say it was South Dakota. I mean, we could Google it, but the lack of, and no disrespect to the police officer who lost his life. He actually stopped an active shooter. Responding cop showed up and killed him.
So I didn't even know that. So
do you ever talk about, like, I mean, for example, I know that I still carry, even though I'm retired, I still have a badge. I don't have a badge because I go around and flash it. My thought is, if I do have to draw and intervene in an active shooter, I know that I program in my brain that I'm going to take my badge out and hold it up the whole time. Once it's done, right, I'm going to hold my badge up. So
what I say to people about that is, and I just be completely honest, one of the things about myself is I hold myself accountable 100% in everything I do in my life. And I'm honest with myself, especially when I'm doing the wrong thing. I'm honest with myself. There are times I don't carry a badge on me. It's in my car. There are times where I don't have a badge on me. I always have a police identification card on me, but I don't always have a badge on me. My response to you on that is, under stress, I don't think it's going to matter whether you hold a badge up or not.
I don't mean as I'm shooting. I'm saying, like, if people are responding.
When it's all said and done, what I tell the civilians especially is, if you engage somebody, God forbid, if you ever take a gun out, the minute the engagement is over and the scene is safe and let's say the threat is down, holster that gun immediately, or put the gun on the floor, whatever it is you're going to do, because when the police show up,
you want your hands free and up.
The police are going to come in. Think about it. Your heart rate's going to be 200. You're going to come through the door. And what happens
when AR-15? With
an AR-15 that, they're going to shoot you at distance. But what's the one thing that happens when your heart rate goes past that 165, 170? You start to get tunnel vision. So the cops coming in that are all geared up, that are all souped up because they just got 100 911 calls for an active shooter in ShopRite. They come through the door, they see a person with a gun, they're going to probably shoot the person with the gun. So my biggest concern is the blue on blue. And I call it blue on blue because it's friendly fire. It's one of the terms that we just use with the SWAT team, with 50 guys in a building coming in and out of rooms, blue, blue, blue. That's my biggest concern. My concern for me, I carry a gun 24/7. When I'm in ShopRite, picking up groceries, I have a gun. The thing that I've done, and I put out to the people, and I put it out to police officers as well, is, again, why do we carry a gun? What's the important reason? Is to protect other people. Yes, I use the gun to protect myself, but I have that gun to protect others. That's number one. The mission is to save lives, no matter who it is. If I'm with my children or my wife, the mission is to save them. So if I'm in a store and an active shooter happens and I'm with my kids, I'm sorry to everybody else that's in there, but I'm getting my wife and my kids. We're bailing out of there and we're not coming back. Now, if I'm by myself, I have an obligation morally, ethically, as a police officer and as a person to try to protect the people that can't protect themselves. The thought in my head is, there's a good chance I'm going to get shot by a police officer on duty, off duty, or now in today's world, a civilian who's carrying a gun. Now, I think about it on the other end too. If I were in ShopRite in the produce aisle and on the other side of the store, shots break out and I run over there and I turn the corner and there's a person with a gun, I heard gunshots and I shoot that person. What if that person is a off-duty police officer or a legal person carrying a gun these days? So one of the things that I'm putting out to people is to make predetermined decisions, to think about the things. Let's talk about it for cops. That's one of the things that I can say I benefited the most with doing 8 years with the SWAT team, We trained so much. We thought of so many scenarios. We thought of every possible thing that could go wrong, that could be good. The training that we've done with the tier 1 military units, they've given us this way to think and train. I live that now every minute of my life. So when I left my house to come here today, I thought in my head, what's the mission? The mission is to get to Street Cop headquarters without getting into a car accident. How do I do that? Well, I don't text and drive. I drive somewhat the speed limit. I don't weave in and out of lanes, so on and so forth. While here, I think of the same thing. Yes, I'm armed. And if something were to pop off in this building, I don't have to worry about my kids. I have to go and protect people in this building. It's a training. I don't always like to use the word mindset, but it's a way to live my life and the way as a police officer. If you don't think that way, there's cops I know that don't carry guns off duty. That's their choice. I personally don't agree with it because you're not just a cop when you're on the clock. I think about it from the minute I wake up to protect my family, protect others, and especially at work. Every part of training is important, right? Case law, huge. Proactive policing, huge. Jiu-jitsu, huge. Going to the gym, physical training, huge. Firearms to me is equal or more for the matter of if I take the gun out and I'm not that good with it, there is a liability to other people. I might hurt somebody that's innocent or one of my coworkers or things like that. So I put more time into the firearms portion because there's more of a risk of injuring somebody else if I'm a little careless with that. If I'm not as good at jiu-jitsu, I'm probably going to get my ass kicked a little bit sooner as opposed to shooting an innocent person by accident. So the way that I structure it for being a cop, it's not just at work, it's off, is making those predetermined decisions, right? And now this in New Jersey, civilians carrying guns has to be the same thing, right? Because when you leave your house and you carry a gun on you, you have to know when you're going to take that gun out. You have to think of that. And us as cops have to now know that, hey, there are people going to be walking the streets with legal guns. We have to adjust to the way now we stop cars, the way we make approaches to people. You think of every person now. Yeah, we always thought every person might have a gun on them. Well, now there's a good chance that people do have guns on them. And look, we know 99.9% of the people are lawful gun owners and are going to be supporting us if need be. But we have to have that thought process and make those predetermined decisions about what we are going to do under stress. Because you know it as well as I do, when a stressful incident happens, if you've never thought of it or never gone over it in training, and you have to think in the moment then, that's when bad things happen.
All good points. It's very reassuring that, you're putting a lot of thought into this and considering it to be a very serious thing, which it is a serious thing. I'm going to jump in and play devil's advocate a little bit here. Well, the first thing I want to say, let me back up a little bit too. Maybe just offering some advice that maybe taking a second to think, and maybe if you have that second to assess in a situation before you pull a trigger, in a situation where it's a little unclear, it might behoove you. So whether or not you can do that, that's up to you, but I would think about what that's going to look like in a situation that's very similar to the circumstance you talked about where you think there might be somebody else actively engaging an active shooter. Now, I hear you saying a lot of things about, well, in New Jersey now, in New Jersey now, in New Jersey now. Yeah, right. But like there's 47 other states where they've been carrying guns lawfully. So the question is we come up with these theories of, well, this could happen, that could happen, this could happen, this could happen, that could happen, that could happen. I don't know enough context of it, but has it happened in the history of the country where 47 other states where people are carrying it? Is there a more likelihood that a bad guy is going to encounter a good guy with a gun and lose? What's the ratio of what the concerns are? You know what I mean?
I don't know. But all I know is
you're saying things like, well, now in New Jersey, you have to worry about that. But Rich, you drive 30 minutes west. That's what they deal with in Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. I mean, I remember going to Little Rock, Arkansas, and doing a class there. I mean, picked up by a guy who hosted the training, and I mean, an AR just laying on his, he like in his front seat, and like fully, blown out police AR. I'm like, I'm like, dude, you just leave this fucking gun out like this, because we come from this state of, which is fine, but he's like, bro, everybody in this goddamn state drives around with guns like this. Mm-hmm. My brother-in-law told me they used to make an announcement at his high school in Arizona that you can't have guns on school property. He goes, so you'd see everybody's cars were lined up on the street outside of the school. Because guys had rifle racks at 18 years of age, in the back of their pickup trucks. These kids are carrying rifles. nobody's shooting up the school, but that's literally how life is. So for us, coming from this liberal idealism, we're not used to this at all. But if we talk to other people in other states, are the concerns you have, which are valid concerns, no question about it, but how realistic are those concerns?
In my opinion, they're very realistic because you know why? We've actually mimicked this in training. For instance, SWAT team training, whatever we were doing, wherever we were. All right, you guys go in there, do a hostage rescue. It's an active shooter, whatever it is, whatever the training topic was of that day. Target discrimination was one of the most important things we had to do. Because you know what kind of scenarios we would set up? Is we would set up that the hostage taker made himself look like a victim when you walk into a room just to throw off your attention. Like we did things like that. And I'll tell you, under stress, yes, it wasn't a real scenario. It wasn't real bullets flying at you. But when we entered a room and you see a person with a gun in their hand, it takes a lot of discipline and a lot of training. Listen, everything we talk about comes back to one thing: training, consistent training, repetitive training, things like that. So in that scenario, you go in there, we had to be super target discriminant and think about what we did. I don't think again, how many times has it happened in the world? I don't know. But it's something that I think is very important. It's something that when I give these civilians this presentation, I give it to them from my perspective. This is what I think about. Maybe I'm crazy, but when I'm in a public setting and I have a firearm on me, when I think about deploying that firearm into a scenario, I'm worried about the surrounding, right? I'm worried about the person who doesn't think that way, who wants to be a hero, who turns the corner and just sees me with a gun in their hand and says, it's my time to shine. Here I am going to be a hero. Boom, and shoots me. In my mind, it's a realistic thing. Again, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe it's never happened one time. But when I think of it, that's how I think of it. And that's, to me, is a very real thing to put in people's heads, to make sure if you are to do that when the police come, hey, make sure you don't have a firearm in your hand. It happened at work a couple months ago. We got a call. Someone said that they thought an intruder was in their house. Okay, no big deal. We go over there. We park down the road. We walk up. The lady who called was waiting for us. Well, when she came out the front door, she had a machete in her hand that was like this long. We were in the street. We thought it was kind of funny. We're like, hey, lady, it's the police. You can put the machete down. She's like, oh, okay. Now, what happens if she walks out with a firearm? I'm not saying I'm going to open fire on her immediately because I knew going in was a homeowner was like, that's things that people have to be told. If you have a firearm in your hand and the police come to your house, put it down.
Right.
Like people have to be told that for their safety and ours in that matter.
No question.
So in that part,
you got to relinquish that to the police at that point.
100%.
Yeah.
Same thing in a public setting. In my mind, that's the thing that I'm concerned about. It's these other states, it hasn't been a big concern. Why? Because they've never gone through what we've gone through over the last 50 or 60 years of not being able to carry guns. So in Texas or wherever these states are where they've been allowed to.
Every state but ours and New York and Cali.
And all these places that have these laws, their constitutional carry, that's never been an issue. I'm worried about it here because it's so new. People are so geared up. I've had people offer me money to just sign the paperwork for them because they don't want to go through the training portion. They just want to carry a gun because it's their right. Mm-hmm. So I do worry about it. You know why I worry about it? Because I've trained a lot of people in the last 2 years, civilians, and I see what a lot of them are. They're great people that want to exercise their rights, and they're finally starting to realize that
it's a big responsibility.
It's a big responsibility to have weapons, and it's not just easy to get a gun and shoot and be accurate. It's to me, it's like, be a professional. Even if you're a civilian and you're going to carry a gun now, you're going to walk around with a concealed weapon on you. You have to be a professional in that manner of, I'm the one carrying a gun. Do it in a professional manner. Same as us as cops. I treat my training the way I do because I consider myself a professional. I train the way I train and the amount of how I train because I'm a professional. I've been tasked with the most important job in the world, to me, is to save lives. If I'm not the best I can be on game day, I'm doing a disservice to the people that have trusted in me to do that.
You said that at one time we had a conversation prior that you believed that I had to conceal carry. Now you're saying that I don't have to conceal carry as a retired police officer?
Leosa law is, right now the way it is with that ruling, is in New Jersey up until this Supreme Court case.
As district court?
No, I'm talking about the New York Supreme Court case.
Right.
And forgive me for not remembering the name of it, but when that all came down...
I think it was Terry v. Ohio.
That's the one that we all remember, right?
Hold on. We all remember? Nobody's read the fucking thing.
No, because of you.
Yeah, that's
we all
it.
remember it now because of you.
What's just simple principles? I mean, like, you should know. I mean, I would argue that everybody should, at very minimum, read Terry v. Ohio. It's a third. I don't want to say it's 37 pages, but it's a long opinion. Most of it you'll probably not understand, but there's a lot of stuff in there, and that's really reading case law. What you got to do is go in and find the real good meat and potatoes of what they meant, why they meant it, what they're saying, and how to expand upon it. Sorry, that was a Dennis Benino case law rip.
I've taken your class. It's real good.
Thanks, dude.
Long before I knew you. So,
when did you take my class?
I've taken,
so much better.
Taken
now.
3.
Wow, of mine?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's better now,
long
dude.
before COVID.
Yeah,
I'll have to come to another
sure.
one. Can check it.
I'll
out.
just do one for you for free. We'll just do
Sweet.
it. Yeah,
Let's do it right now.
It's done. Yeah.
All right. So, retired police officers in New Jersey. As of now, everybody's been applying to the state police for a carry permit, a retired police officer carry permit, which is just a New Jersey carry permit. The reason is now you don't have to do that if you don't plan to use your gun for profit, for security purposes. Mm-hmm. Most retired cops use their weapon, use that permit to work security, armed security, the schools, whatever it is. Now they're saying that if you just want to carry a gun under LEOSA, you don't have to get that in New Jersey. New Jersey states, if you're going to work in this state with armed, you need that license. You need that RPO still. You need the SORA license. So the question came to me was, hey, can you give me a LEOSA card? And I said, I don't know what a LEOSA card is. This is all still new. Things are being worked out. And when that comes, yes, I will offer those to retired police officers as well. But as of right now, like, hey, just still run through the process, because you never know. Most guys are using their guns for work anyway. So
Interesting stuff.
Yeah.
What other topics did you want to go over today? What's some important stuff that you wanted to discuss?
So we've hit on it last time as well, and I'll hit on it again. The importance in training for law enforcement. Since doing the firearms classes for Street Cop, a lot of the feedback that I've been getting is that the classes are really good. Everyone has a good time. I got a text message before from somebody who said that, I had a private session with you a couple of weeks ago, and I did so much better today at the range. Yeah, I get a lot of that, but it's got to be consistent, right? Because if you do anything today and don't do it for 6 months, in 6 months you're going to be, you're not going to be as good. I really want to hit on the consistent training, firearms, physical training, case law. For instance, I'm training a couple newer guys at work right now. The biggest focus I have with them is, the first day was, hey, what do you know about motor vehicle law? What do you know about motor vehicle case law? And his answer was 0. And I said, okay. I pulled out my phone and I texted him the Street Cop website. I said, if you really want to be good, this is what you need to do. Right then and there, he registered for 3 courses.
Wow.
3, right? That guy shows me he wants to learn. The other guys are pushing to do the same thing. So now he's going to go to 3 classes by the end of this year just to get himself better. My agency sends people to training. We're in between some scheduling issues right now, so it's not. I told them,
is everybody in the country.
So hey, man,
yeah.
don't even work. Don't even try to do that because our schedule is crazy right now. Just go and send yourself. They'll give you a day off, and that's what he did. Firearms, same thing. Pushing him to go to a firearms course. Pushing him to do this. More importantly, there's free jiu-jitsu courses out there for law enforcement. Matt and Scott from NJ Leo. Those guys are putting on open mats once a month. If you're not going to those open mats, you should be going to those open mats. Matt and Scott are amazing. They're doing great things for law enforcement with defensive tactics training, jiu-jitsu. It's amazing. So is every other jiu-jitsu school in New Jersey. I can name 100 of them. The one that I know the most is the one that I go to, Dante Rivera's in Freehold. He loves law enforcement. Go there, get training. They do law enforcement seminars.
How tough is that dude?
How tough is he?
Yeah.
I told him this. I said, if you went crazy, I would shoot you in the first 1 second I had from as far away as I could, because a guy like that is just a killer. He's also the most compassionate person. He's such a great mentor and coach and instructor.
Does a nice job. He does a nice job.
My 5-year-old is going to start going. My 8-year-old goes.
I'm going to drag my kids back.
They love him. He's so good with his kid program is amazing.
Yeah, no, he does a nice job. I saw it. I was happy.
And then stay for the MMA fight team guys and watch what he's putting out some of the toughest guys in the state. There are so many other places that are great too. But my point is, all of these places are offering training to law enforcement. We got to do it. Yes, we're probably going to use jujitsu as cops more than we're going to use our firearms. However, when that firearm comes out of your holster, you better be the best you can be with that on that day. Why? Because we've been tasked with saving people's lives. We owe it to the people of the state, of the community, our families, our friends, our coworkers, to be the best we can be. We have to be well-rounded. If you just know case law and do nothing else, okay, you'll be good. You'll be good on paper. You can teach case law. We all need to be well-rounded. And I'm not perfect. There's way more stuff that I need to do and get better at. I know that. But pushing the new guys is being well-rounded. Coming to the street cop courses, firearms courses, jujitsu, going to the gym, exercising, doing all that stuff. All of that is important. One of the best organizations out there is the New Jersey Women in Law Enforcement Association. They do a monthly mentorship program for their members. By the way, if you're a male or female and not a member, sign up. They offer a free mentorship program. That is financial training, firearms training, defensive tactics, leadership. I mean, they put out some great things. So we need to be well-rounded. So when you ask me, one of the things that I want to put out is training. And it's not just me. There are a million people. Yes, I think I put on a real good program for firearms. Come out, rifle or pistol. You'll learn a lot. We're going to start rolling out a little bit more like level 2 courses, I think next year, and really pushing the pace, right? Because the courses now are fundamental based, right? Helping fundamentals. Next year, we're really going to start pushing the pace and doing more practical shooting, right? What it's really going to be like under stress. So training is the biggest thing for me. It's got to be repetitive. We got to be professionals about it. We have to be. Mm. So the last part of that is, and the question that was asked to me earlier today from one of the question and answers on Instagram was, who is it that I train with to be a good instructor, to get better, right? The names to me aren't that important for credibility. It's always be a student, right? As much as I'm an instructor in my department and all these other places, I have to be a student first. Being a student makes me a better instructor. I just spent a weekend out in Ohio at one of the biggest shooting events of the year, networking, shooting, and training events. Ohio Range Day, that's run by Achilles Heel Tactical. Big shout out to those guys, man. Rick, Zach, what's up, Zach? All of those guys.
But do you see that Rick and Zach listen to the podcast?
100% they do.
Oh,
and I was gonna kiss your ass a little bit too and give you some of this from out there.
Please, you don't have to kiss my ass.
No, yeah. It's kind of funny actually. But like, go out there for this thing. It's application only. You have to be selected. It costs a ton of money to go out there. You get 2 solid days of training. You get to evaluate new gear and do all these things. Yeah, flying around in helicopters and shooting machine guns.
I saw that shit, yeah.
So like that stuff is fun.
How was that? What were you guys shooting at? Just targets?
Steel targets. They had them set up at all distances.
How cool was that? Scary at all?
I'll be honest with you, I was petrified because I hate heights. So I'm like, I'm going to freaking go in a helicopter right now. And shout out to Charlie from Hades Consulting, who was standing with me when the helicopter flew overhead, and he goes, "Oh, you'll be fine. Don't worry. If you fall from that distance, you won't die. You'll just be a paraplegic or something like that." I'm like, "Oh, thanks." So he was in the military, so he's like, "I've been on those things a million times," but that was awesome.
Yeah, like,
the minute the helicopter went up in the air, if there's a video of it, I'm sure. I was holding on for dear life. Within 15 seconds, I was like, "This is not bad at all." You weren't even that high. We were 200 feet off the ground, maybe. The pilot turns the corner and there's the targets, and it's like, "Hey, green light, start shooting." And you just start ripping rounds at all these. You
guys shooting ARs out of the?
Yeah, shooting rifles out of it.
It's cool.
But just the video's on my Instagram. Check it out. But
I want to do the one where you go and like eradicate hogs and
yeah,
stuff.
Oh, dude, that's the one I really want to do. That's out in like Texas. You can do that.
Well, Craig Meyer said, when I come to Texas again, he's like, "Bro, he actually has," because I don't know if you know that Craig Meyer, who's one of our profound instructors. I mean, this guy's going to be one of the big names here, no question about it. His class is ridiculous. I mean, he just ran it here.
No, I can't wait to see it.
Dude, it's wild. It's just one of those ones where you're just like, there's a big one. There's a big deal. This is going to be a national big class. Not that all of them aren't. It's just his is very universal. It's very 2022. He's the guy, but he actually was a paid hunter.
Really?
Yeah, dude. So he, like, for 15 years, he was a sponsored paid hunter. He's got wild stories, but he actually has contracts with these farmers where he gets paid to go out and eradicate these 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 wild boars.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, bro, you come down, we'll go knock off 40, 50 of these things in a night. I go, you serious? He goes, yeah, we'll load a pickup truck, we'll go set up like a turret on top, and we'll just go knock like 40 of these things off.
They have it though where you can do it from a helicopter.
Yeah. But I'm saying, like, I'll still do it from the truck too.
Sure.
But anyway.
That'll be a good trip. Let's do that. I would love to do
All right,
that.
I'll let you know when I'm going out there.
But the point of what I was saying was I spent a ton of money to go out there, spend 2 or 3 days out there, train with some of the biggest names in the industry. Again, they've asked me to shout names out. The companies that I've paid a lot of money to train with are these tier 1 guys, man. Hades Consulting, right? Zach and Charlie, take their class. These guys bring something to the table that I could never, ever have experienced in my life, right? Like I said, all the guys from Achilles, they're amazing. Tony Cowden.
I know Tony Cowden.
Tony Cowden is one of the best instructors we brought him up here to Sayreville last year.
Oh, really?
To do a private thing for the SWAT team.
No shit.
It was amazing. He's one of the coolest guys I've ever...
Yeah. Lives in California, right?
No, he's a North Carolina guy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
He's a North Carolina guy. He ran for Congress last year.
Yeah.
Awesome,
Oh, yeah, Cowden, right. That's
awesome,
right.
Awesome dude. So we're trying to get him back up. But again, guys like that who have all this experience to where when someone says to me like, oh, are you going to train me to be a gunfighter? No, sorry, bro. I'm not a gunfighter. I've never been in one gunfight, let alone what would it take for you to be a gunfighter? I don't know, 50? Yeah, that's not me, right? We train fundamentals. We train these things. But I get to train with people like that that have the experience of this is what it's going to be like. This is what it is. The last part of that is the civilian instructors. There's a civilian instructor that I go to on a monthly or sometimes bi-weekly basis. Joe Savio from GST Consulting right out of Farmingdale. I go to him and pay him to help me stay really good as an instructor. So it's not just military. It's not law enforcement. Training is training, but vet your instructors. Vet your instructors. Go out there, get repetitive, good training, because it's the only thing that's going to make us better. The question was, how often should you shoot? As much as you can, but with a purpose. I don't just go to the range and blow off 100 rounds and then go home. Have a purpose. It might be just this one topic of the day. It's got to be something that you're working towards. There has to be a purpose. So yeah, I go and I did this, out in Ohio. It was so much fun. I'm away from my family for 4 days, but the training value, I got rifle training, night vision training, shooting in and around vehicles. Something you don't get to do a lot here. Why? Because police departments don't want to shoot up their police cars. We got to shoot cars, shoot in, out of cars. You get to see a lot of things too that me as an instructor, when someone says, hey, when you shoot a bullet through a windshield, in or out, what's the trajectory of the round going to be? Now I can say like, hey, not that I haven't done it before, but now I have another portion of that training. So it all comes down to training. And if you're waiting for your agency just to send you and to pay for it, some agencies are doing it, some aren't. Of all my courses, it's probably 60 to 70% people are paying out of their own pocket to come.
I mean, same thing here. Same thing with us. And so, rightfully so. Listen, I always argued that, you paid for college. Why not pay for professional development once you're in your career? You paid for a $70,000 to $190,000 piece of paper that's basically useless. We don't make this podcast about that. It's funny as you're talking. We had a range, and again, I don't want to bring up any names of my old agencies, but we had a range, and I was built. And at that time, I remember saying they came out and said, if you want to use the range, you can use it anytime you want. There was a protocol. You can get the keys to the range in the shift commander's office. You need to bring an AED, and a quick clot had to go with you and all this other shit, and a radio. You actually, if you came off duty, they made you bring a radio with you. So there was a radio designated for the range. It's all got to go with you down to the range. You got to come here first. Listen, I get it. All smart stuff. 2 of my classmates spent a lot of time at that range. I had to see them, even when I was working off duty, coming in, getting all this gear, they're heading down. So I said, what kind of drills are you guys running? They go, we're just practicing headshots. It's so interesting when you say that training is important. Not too long after they were doing that, one of those guys had gotten in a shooting. It was a hostage situation.
We talked about that last podcast.
Yeah, I know. I want to reiterate the point, right?
Yeah.
So people said to me like, man, it was a good shot. I go, the guy's been training for it. Literally, this is the only training he does. He goes down at the range, he can shoot, and he takes headshots. So he's been through this 1,000 times in his mind of what he's going to do, when he's going to take the shot, and how he's going to line this thing up. He knows how the gun acts. When he pulls that trigger, he knows what his body's going to do, what parts of his body have to move to make that bullet hit where he wants it to hit. And that's not something that comes natural. when I was a firearms instructor, it'd be so funny, man. We get all these guys who come in. We're civil service, right? So veterans preference is always the thing. We get the new recruits before they go to the academy. We'd run them through our stuff, which is consistent with the academy. You know, just maybe a little bit deviated, but not pretty consistent. You hear it all the time. Oh yeah, no, I was a marksman in the Marine Corps with a rifle, and I used to smile. You know, oh no, I'm a killer with an M16, and I would tell people like, so you've never shot a handgun, right? No, but if I'm with an M16, I'm gonna crush you with a handgun. And these were the worst handgun shooters I've ever seen. I mean, these guys literally were having the most difficulty. I think one is they anticipated that it was going to be the same thing. They're two essentially completely different weapon systems. So you're good. You're a marksman with an M4 or an M4 or AR-15, some kind of long 223, 5.56 rifle. We're handing them 45 caliber pistols. These guys can't hit paper at 10 yards.
Well, it also comes down to the training portion, but for me, there's people that go, hey, I want you to train me in pistol and rifle. Rifle first. Nope, pistol first. Because if you can shoot a pistol, you can shoot a rifle. If you have the fundamentals with a pistol, a rifle's easy. You have to understand some concepts. Biggest thing with rifle is knowing the way it operates. Knowing if you having malfunctions, why? Is it magazines? Is it this? You need to know all of that stuff. So there's a little bit more to learn about the actual weapon system itself. But I teach people to shoot pistols first. If once you're good with a pistol and understand the fundamentals, translating that to a rifle is very easy. The biggest thing is also advancing your training, right? Your guy that took that headshot advanced the training to the part of doing things that are more difficult. Anybody can stand at 5 yards away, slow pressing on the trigger, prepping the trigger. Yes, that's a fundamental. Yes, I teach that in the course. Prep the trigger. Confirmation of the sights, slow press to the rear. That's just to understand a fundamental. The next part of it is, let's go to 15 yards and shoot 5 rounds as fast as you possibly can. That's part of my course. Yeah, you do that. And you start to see the difference in what the targets look like. The one who wins is the one who puts the most accurate rounds faster than the other person on target.
I got to come. I wish I wasn't. I got to fly to Detroit. I wanted to come tomorrow.
Yep, it is what it is. And the one thing we have to do in our training, and it's something that I've started to advance in mine, in dry fire and live on the range, is at all the different distances, coming out as fast as I possibly can and literally pulling the trigger as fast as I possibly can and seeing what is falling apart and having to diagnose why are my rounds 3 and 4 low or left. It's probably my grip, right? Because again, it's shooting a gun is easy. You understand it. Put the sights there. Press the trigger without deviating the sights and the bullet goes where you want. Okay, but when you're ripping 5 or 6, 7 rounds as fast as you possibly can, you're not going to be soft on the trigger. You're going to be mashing the trigger as hard as you possibly can.
Used to getting soft on that trigger in that situation, right?
But in that 5 yards or 4 yards in that close encounter, you're going to come out as fast as you can, and you got to press the trigger as fast as you can. For me, at 25 or 50 or 100, people are like, "Come on, stop! You don't shoot it." Yes, I do. I shoot pistols at 100 yards all the time.
Yeah, I love it.
There's a purpose behind it, though. It's also that precision shot. Do I think I would really take a 100-yard pistol shot if I had to? If I had a safe background? Yeah, absolutely I would. And I'm pretty confident in my hit factor from there. But that's a very precision, a very, very refined sight picture or dot and a slow press on the trigger. At 15 yards, I'm coming out as fast as I can, and I'm literally pulling the trigger as fast as I can. But I'm training that. I'm training to see what falls apart for me. There are guys in the competitive world, which is my next step, is to get into the competitive world, is these guys are so fast and there's no soft on the trigger. They're just mashing it as hard as they can. You know why? Because their fundamentals of everything else is perfect. Their grip is perfect. Their target focus is everything else works so good for them that they just need to come out and they as hard as they can. Well, again, I've never been in an officer-involved shooting, thankfully. I don't ever want to be involved in it. But most of the police officers that we've talked to that have, what do they say? I didn't really even see my sights, or I didn't prep the trigger. I ripped it as fast as I could. And the experience that I've gotten from the practical shooters in this world are the same thing. They're like, you're not going to be easy on the trigger at 5 yards. You're going to mash the trigger as hard as you can. But you better have done it in training a million times to understand where you're at. So like, that's how my training has advanced, right? It's What do we do? We mastered the fundamentals and we're at the advanced level. I don't know a person that can say that they've mastered the fundamentals. Maybe there are. I'm not there. Nobody is there.
Can I run the I just thought of this. How about I run the rifle course with my Stag 10?
Do whatever you want.
Could you imagine? People come over and they see that gun and they're like, I'm like, here, hold it. Like, holy shit. I'm like, well, this thing's accurate at 1,000 yards, right? It shoots a round that's literally twice the size of a 223.
It's insane.
Yeah. So imagine if I run the rifle. I don't even know if I'm gonna have ammo for it.
Well, you're bringing it for fun anyway, and just come up online with that. Everyone's like, what?
I'll do that.
What the hell is that?
Well, because it looks like a AR.
Oh yeah.
It's just an insane. It's really just an insane AR.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
But even something like that, right? You can't just pick that up and shoot it. You got to go to a course. You want to learn how to shoot things at 1,000 yards? First of all, I'm not the guy to teach you that.
Where the fuck can you shoot 1,000 yards in New Jersey?
There's not a spot that I know of.
Just a reduced target at 500 or
even that.
Super reduced at...
Where are you going to go 500?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't even know of a spot in Pennsylvania. There's stuff. Look, you can drive to places like Ohio. I mean, honestly, North Carolina is not that far of a drive.
Rich, North Carolina's a fucking drive, dude.
But if you're going to go for good training, it's not that far of a drive. With 10 hours?
You're committed, bro.
With 10 hours?
Bro, I like travel the country nonstop. And when you say anything over 5, I'm like, oh, please.
I'm
Lord,
with you. Hey, look, we drove 7 hours to Ohio to go train. It is what it is.
I get it.
We could have flew, but like, it is what it is. You got to
bring your own guns too, right?
You got to bring all your stuff. But if you want to do something, you're not going to limit yourself to it's a 10-hour drive.
No, for sure.
Right? Find the best. Who's the best? I don't know, but I know there's a real good guy there, to teach long distance.
Brother, I'm willing to do anything I got to do.
And that guy's got a 1,500-yard range on his property.
Damn, you got me pumped up, dude.
Oh man, it's stuff.
I want to go have a fun man day now that the weather's gotten cool. Like I just want to go and do a fucking fun man day.
Yeah, let's do it whenever you want. But there's also a purpose. Like we'll have fun, but there will be some training.
Oh,
involved
I want to get run through the training. You know what I mean? I got limitations with my knee, but like I still want to. Dude. I really have almost zero experience with a rifle.
Well, listen, that's actually
I can shoot them. I'm accurate with shooting them. I don't know a lot of about them.
It's the manipulations.
It's the skill. Yeah, like it's the jams, how to clear jams, how to move fluently.
Yeah, there's a lot of officers that have come to me privately because they say, hey, listen, I'll be honest. There's a rifle in my police car. I shoot it 2 or 3, 4 times a year. I really know nothing about it. They've given me zero training on it. And that's insane to me. It's insane to me how that's a real thing, but hey, it's a real thing. We rolled out red dots in our department for pistols. It's mandatory you take an 8-hour training day. Whether it's with me or somebody else, it's mandatory.
That's part of the negotiation with getting red dots?
No, there was no negotiation. I'm in charge of that, and that's the rule I set in place.
Okay.
Because shooting a red dot is different than shooting iron sights on your pistol.
No question about it.
It makes it much easier, but there's a different understanding of it. Going from target, you're going from front sight focused to target focused in a switch of sighting systems. If you don't understand the why behind it, and get a ton of reps in it, because you see the same thing every time. Guy hand a guy a gun with a red dot. He comes up and you see his hand going
one eye closed, right?
One eye closed, doing the figure 8, going, I don't see the red dot. Okay, again, it's
open your eyes,
both eyes open. Focus on the target. Bring it to your eyesight. There's some things that we do to work it out, but things like that to roll that out, and it's all training. Yeah, do I think 8 hours is enough? No, it should be 8 hours a week, but unfortunately we don't get that. But my boss is actually pretty good when it comes to that. He's like, hey, you're the expert in that. You're an instructor in that. You roll out whatever you think is best for our guys and our agency. And that's mandatory 8 hours of training. You want to go? I'll give you reputable companies if you want to do it with me. But we set it up for the department to do it. And that's what I propose that to other departments that are in the area that I work. You want me to come for free? I'll come for free and help you guys out.
Don't say that on a podcast, bro. You ever get it?
No.
Yeah, caution.
There's like 2 surrounding, like I'm talking the ones that surround me. They know who they are. Those are guys that were on.
You work with all the time, right?
Guys were on the SWAT team with me, like helping those dudes out. It is what it is. My point is the training, right? It's gotta be repetitive. It's gotta be more. We have to do it. We have to, like you said, invest in yourself and what you're doing. Because if you don't, you're not doing yourself or anybody else any favors.
It's the same continuous conversation when everybody comes on that teaches something like this. And even from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to firearms to case law is you all have to imagine yourself in this scenario and the what if. And actually, Chad Lyman, who's fucking amazing, Really enjoy having him on the podcast. It was on yesterday's program, and he talked about hard. You could choose your hard. So what's the hard? Yeah, it's hard to go to the gym, but it's also hard to go to the doctor, which and start getting procedures or be in pain. So would you rather be in pain on your own accord or be on pain at the detriment of your failure to train? It's hard to have to get up and go to the range once a month but it's also hard to get shot and have to try to come back from that. So which hard are you choosing? So he went on and on and on. He's like, you can apply this to life, everything in life. And I often think to people, like, put yourself in the scenario where you need these skills. You're going to want to have these skills. That's why I tell people in class, guys, you're going to fight somebody. Like, I don't care how romantic you are with the idea that you have a place where it's quiet, people don't fight here. You're going to fight somebody. The question I have for you is, are you ready to fight somebody? You're going to find yourself at a suppression hearing. I don't care if you're the fucking traffic guy. You're running rear antenna radar. You're inevitably going to step in shit. And when you step in shit and you find 3/4 of a kilo of cocaine and you have no idea how you got it, why it's in your evidence room now, and why the attorney's calling you immediately to find out he needs the report, and you don't even know the first thing about the Fourth Amendment. This is real shit. Shooting, you're now an active shooter, right? And you have issues. We had a guy on from Atlanta PD. I'll say it now. He was first call of the day. Didn't even get ready yet. Did you hear that episode? It's maybe 15, 20 episodes ago.
Oh, okay. I'll listen.
And he goes out and he takes his AR-15. And he actually wasn't prepared. It was such a hot call that he ran to his car, didn't even get the thing set up for work, wasn't ready, but knew the system. So he took a shot. He got shot in the head. Didn't penetrate his skull, sliced his fucking forehead open. He got, he just says, don't call me lucky because I don't want to hear that anymore. But once he realized, as he ran through the system of his AR-15, he was able to, he didn't miss a shot. He shot like 17 rounds of his AR, and he said, hit him every single time. I got from like 75 yards. He goes, how'd you hit him every time? He goes, I shoot this gun every week, and it's my baby. He goes, I have a bunch of guns. This is the one that I bring to work. I love this gun. I'm in love with this gun. And I was in complete control. I had so his life was saved on his, I will even call it borderline obsession with that weapon, but he understood that if he knew how to use this thing fluently, and it saved his life. It saved the life of a lot of people. And the story's good. He's like, I was literally just laying rounds to this dude nonstop. And then he rolled over again, hoisted the gun, started trying to shoot another cop. And I hit him 3 more times consecutively. Pop, pop, pop. And it was it. Lights out. So
from 75 yards.
From 75 yards behind a telephone pole after being shot, after he laid his pistol down because I forgot what he said about the pistol. He might have, I don't know if he ran out or he had a malfunction with that, but he said, I left the pistol because I had the rifle. I went right to the rifle system because that's the one I was just more confident in.
100%.
At 75 yards.
100%.
Right? So he just left the handgun. He's like, dude, I didn't even know I did that.
I'm using my handgun to get back to my car to get my rifle. Like, for real, that's what I'm doing. There's no joke.
It makes the point, and again, I just remind people, I had a smarmy comment from a guy who came to class one time. He goes, you're really pushing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. When's the last time you trained Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? And I went, hey, fuckhead, I'm not a cop anymore, right? And I honestly wish I could train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but I have some real mobility issues. And it may not look like I do because I don't really push the issue of mobility issues. If you'd like to come hook me up to a system where if you put me through a course of some physical movements, you'll see how fast. Dude, I was like literally sitting on the couch the other day, and like I went to move on the couch and like put my leg down to shift my body, and I got like pain shooting through my back just from my knee. I mean, dude, I can't do rapid movements. My knee actually, it took me a long time to get my knee strong enough where, Rich, I used to walk and the knee used to just give out. Really? Yeah. So they were like, so I would walk, the knee would just disengage. And I would just like, I would like fall. And my girlfriend, who's not my wife at the time, would be like, what the fuck is going on? I'm like, my knee's not firing correctly. So I've been doing as much as I can to try to build a muscle around it to control that from happening. But it happens still. It definitely still happens. So, I say this because I care about you, not because I'm saying, well, do this even though I don't. No. I'm not a cop anymore.
What that guy should say is, well, why are you pushing jiu-jitsu? Because it works. Yeah. Because for law enforcement, it's the most effective thing for control. I don't care who you are. It's not debatable. That dude should just get on a mat with somebody who's a 3-month white belt, and he'll watch himself get handled and go, this is why jiu-jitsu is the most important. Not only that, and listen, I I try to get there 3 days a week. Typically it doesn't happen. Maybe I get there one. Perfectly fine to admit it. I do my best to get there. I'm a 1-stripe white belt. But guess what? I'm a 1-stripe white belt against somebody that knows 0. I have the upper advantage. No doubt. You know why? Because if I get to go once a week or twice a week, I'm getting my ass kicked by men, women, big, small, whatever it is. But I'm getting put in these uncomfortable situations that if it happens at work, I'm kind of not going to freak out. I've been here before. I know what it's like. It's one of the things. And if you're a cop and you're not training jiu-jitsu, I'm sorry, you're doing yourself a disservice. Again, here in New Jersey, I can only speak for that. There are a million jiu-jitsu schools, and they are law enforcement friendly. Matt and Scott from
I think every jiu-jitsu school is law enforcement friendly, right?
Maybe there's one that isn't. I don't know.
I doubt that.
I'm sure they are. My point is there are resources out there. You know, Matt and Scott, they run the New Jersey Leo Jiu-Jitsu on Instagram. Check them out. Free open mats for cops once a month at different locations. There's so many things. Adopt a cop for jiu-jitsu. If you're not involved in the program, get involved. They give you a discount until you get a blue belt. I mean, it's unbelievable. So the resources are there. Yes, I think jiu-jitsu is so important for cops. Why? Because it's confidence as well. Being able to handle yourself. If you think you can fight and you're confident, you're going to display yourself differently. And you know that for how many years? You're going to have confidence. People see that in your body language. People that we're talking to, they know right away who the guy is and who the guy isn't. Mm-hmm. Jiu-jitsu is just that insurance policy, right? It's super important. The firearms portion for me is very important too, because something you said before about the hard, when the gun comes out, you said something about not being good with the gun and you get killed. I don't think of it that way. I think of it the opposite way. I think about the gun coming out. I don't do what I have to do. I don't have the skills to do it. And an innocent person gets killed. To me, there's things that are worse, things in life that are worse than death. Me knowing that I did something because I was not up to the task, or my training wasn't there, and an innocent person gets killed, or one of my coworkers or one of my teammates, and I live, that to me is worse. It's worse than death, because there you die. It is what it is. I hate to say it that way and sound like that, but we know this is a tough job. The hard part for me would be knowing somebody else got killed because of me. Think about that. That's worse than how you perceived it as me getting shot. Because I'd rather get shot than the guy with me get shot. Because it's simple, right? It's the mission, it's the team, and me. There's 100 books written on that. And if you don't live by that at work or in your life, it's got to be that way. Those guys that I work with, their safety is my number one concern. Theirs. The mission is the overall, right? Those are the innocent people. Number 2 is those guys. 3rd is me. That's the way it's got to be. And if you're, that's where you see people that are cowards right away. Mm-hmm. You'll see that right away when they self-preservation over teammates or coworkers or things like that. It's important. It's important.
Well, that was this episode of the Dennis and Rich broadcast.
There you go.
I have to catch a flight to end this program now. I know that people probably still want to hear more from Rich. Check out Rich's training programs at streetcop.com. He has some real phenomenal stuff. If you want to host Rich's training or have him come out and teach your agency, you can do that as well. And you can find him on Instagram at RAB Firearms. And you have, what else?
RAB_Firearms, SCT, Street Cop Training. Yep.
Well, thank you for implementing that into your Instagram handle.
Of course, man. Hey, it's my honor to do that. Oh, that's the one thing that we have to add. I said it before. I went out to Ohio for that training event, right? I got to meet a ton of people that I didn't know. I had a Street Cop shirt on, the one of the t-shirts. And I just said to Jess, I got to get a couple more of them. You know how many people came up to me and go, "Oh, Street Cop," because there was a mix of law enforcement, and one guy recognized me right away as a Street Cop instructor, and he was like, "I'm the biggest fanboy of Street Cop. Please do me a favor and tell Dennis I said hi."
Why don't you just FaceTime me when you do that?
You know what? First off, where we were, the phone service was terrible, number 1. Number 2, it was like right as training was about to start.
Okay.
But knowing that, I should have did that. But yeah. He's a police, Zach from Achilles. He's a cop out in Ohio. Awesome guys, awesome trainers, awesome instructors, great people. He was one of the other ones too. When I ran into him, we had met and talked on Instagram a bunch of times, and in person we were talking. We talked all about Street Cop. he's like, street cop class this, and want to host classes out there and go to this class, and hey, I want to take Kenny's class and Dennis's like, we talked about street cop the whole time. So like wearing that t-shirt was huge. I got so many people to come up to me like, oh, street cop.
It's like a membership card.
Hey, tell Dennis I said hi. Tell Dennis I said hi. So for everybody that said it to me there, if you're listening, I told Dennis you said hi. There you go.
Hey, everybody. Even in the future, FaceTime me.
Say hi to Zach from Achilles Hill Tactical.
Hey, Zach, you're the man. If Rich did anything that violated your personal privacy, I'm not surprised, and I apologize on behalf of the company. So he's we call him Richie Touchy here. That's his nickname. So sorry about that.
That's a cool nickname.
It's not a bad name.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, well, that'll be on your
on my profile now,
on your documents when you go to court for your disposition. Anyway,
thanks, boss.
All right, Richie Touchy.
All right, buddy.
I hope people don't call you Richie Touchy from now on.
They're going to now. You know that, right?
Don't call Richie Touchy
if
at work.
Frankie doesn't edit this, that's what they're going to call me.
Yeah, well, Frankie edits this, and he's gonna lose a job. So,
and guess what? And it's going to be my closest friends, and I don't care. There's nothing. That's not nearly as bad as the things they've said to me before. So I really don't care.
All right, guys. I appreciate everybody's continued support.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you.
Guys, if you're in an area where you're trying to get to our classes, but we're not close to you, fret not. We actually have on-demand training at streetcop.com. You can take that course online right now, and then you could attend that training in the future at no additional cost. You can redeem your voucher, so you get 2 for the price of 1. We don't want to deny you the ability to take this training now, especially knowing that it can keep you safe at a very minimum, putting bad guys in jail where they belong, and at the maximum going home to your family. Check out streetcop.com for that offer.